Hi, Bethany. Here's your first run, so I'm going to let you just watch this. What we're looking for, Bethany, too, here is this straight up and down line and where your crossover is, whether you're leaning too much to one side, what your arms are doing. And as you can see, you're running on a pretty tight rope most of the gait patterns here, so you're by crossing over we'll end up hurting our ankles a little too much pronation, and also our middle knee. So to go back with this, um, when we step down this leg angle here, what we want to do is we want it to be about 3 degrees, um, not 10. And so with the degree angle that you've got going here, um, the crossover point is showing about 18 degrees, and we want to bring that out a little bit. So the first thing when we hit again is this line here, and we look at our ankle here. So if we measure this angle right here, and if we go um, based off 180, that's 9 degrees of pronation. Normal pronation would be about 6. Um, see your right leg here. That's not too bad. It's kind of on the midline. Right here we should also see a big gap between your feet, so about at least 2 inches. Um, this one's a little bit more crossed. You see that one is off 180. That's 11 degrees, so it increased a little bit more because you crossed over more. As we come up with the right one, you see a really big increase there. You see the really aggressive bend? And so the more you see that you cross over, the more aggressive bend in this foot here. So let's mark the center. Yeah, that's really aggressive. That's 22 degrees. That's what we see a lot, about 20-something degrees in people. And that just tears up your ankles. And if you go to the run store, they'd say, oh, look, you're pronating too much and get a funky shoe. But in reality, all you are is you just placed your foot differently. So every time you place it differently, I could measure these differently. There's another really big one. See the angle? Okay. The other thing is, too, is we just look at your hip. When you hit the ground, you put all your weight right there. How far down does your hip bend? You got your shirt kind of skewed here, but I can still see your hip bend. And if I put it right about the top angle of your hip to the top angle there, we don't want to be any more than 3 degrees. That's 6.6. So that tells us, Bethany, that you always want to work. Your platform for running is your weakest point. So your weakest point can be your hip strength here using the bands. It can be that you're crossing over too much. It could be your core. Sometimes all of them are weak. Sometimes just 1 or 2. The other thing is with our arms, we're just looking to see on your upper body how much, look at this, see of twist do we go through the upper body. You're not bad, you're okay, but these arms, we don't want to be crossing the arm this way, because if you remember, where your arm goes, your foot will go. So if this crosses over aggressively, then usually your right leg will cross over. And this one crosses over, then your left leg crosses over. It's counterproductive. So you try to drive your arms a little straighter and keep from too much over rotation. There'll be some. Okay, so let's go to your next video. Okay, watch yourself. Oop. I'm going to stop you right here. This is the second video. So this is that when we retrained you, and you look at your difference. You're still going to cross over, but let's stop right there. Let's back this up for a second. Look where your left foot is landing. That is so much better of an angle. See how you're not on the ankle there? And with no shoes, you'll look like you pronate more. That's normal. But your leg position is much better. You struggle a little bit here. We'll go over like this. So this is, there you go. You struggle there. You're still crossing over the right. You're not going to do it perfect. Now you go back to the old habit. And I was reminding you as you're running, and you go back to an old habit. But then look, boom. You stepped right underneath where you're supposed to. And there you go. See the gap between your feet? So that's what we've got to look for. In this angle, this is the most important issue, is to have that gap between your feet. You just got to learn to look down, look at the line, imagine it there, don't run on top of it. It should feel a little bit weird that you're using these muscles like you're running wide. You're not going to overdo it. And if you feel a little weird, then you're doing it right. Okay? So you can see the few gates here you do pretty good. There's a good right hand right there. Good angle on your leg right underneath you. So you can do it. It just takes, and remember, treadmill's way harder to do it on. Okay, so let's look at your next one. Okay, Bethany, here's your side picture. The big thing we're going to look at is your gravity line, your straight leg, toes pointed in the air, striking the heel. All of that, which would be a little bit negative. So let's watch you run. As you can see, you're striking out in front of the gravity. We want to put the foot down right underneath us. You aren't in this position. You're not trained well enough to reach out to that gap distance yet. You have to start off a little tighter. Your lean is a little bit, off angle of this guy's lean. It's because you're probably going a little bit slower. So, but you're not bad. You have a good athletic run style. You can run very well. You're just reaching out. So let's show you why this is important. Let's see if I have any markers yet on this. Okay, here comes your second foot. So when you strike right there, what'll happen is this line, as I draw it when you hit the ground, this line's called the gravity line, and it should be in front of your body. When it's behind you, that's telling you where that force is being pushed up to. So this is be called a negative gravity line. So it's counterproductive for you. Plus you have to use a lot of your front leg muscles in here. You get sore shin splints from pointing the toe up like this and having it hit the ground. It's got to slap down against resistance, 2.5 times body weight. This is where you want to strike right there. So the strike should have a nice 30 plus degree bend in the leg. Okay, that's 34 off 180. So that's what you want. 214 off 180 is 34, or 33.7, I should say. That's the angle you want to hit the ground at. Okay, so it just means when you bring this leg through that you just set it down. Boom, right there. Just set it down. Don't let it go out any farther and get a quicker turnover. And you see, you do the same thing with your left, right? Okay, so that's the main thing we're looking at, Bethany, when you watch this run. Now that's when we draw the gravity line, and when you hit the ground correctly, this happens to go in front of you. Isn't that interesting how that works out? And because it's in front of you, it would be assisting your running, not bouncing you backwards every time you strike. So again, it's been a long time. When you practice, when you run like this, it takes practice. You just got to ask yourself, am I striking my midfoot? Am I slightly bending at the knee at impact? And not trying to take a larger gait. And again, it should feel unusual. Now, when you become a better runner and faster, your lean mechanics is going to be more, your body lean will be more like this. It'll come through and lean about there, because you won't be standing up so straight. This will come farther behind you and then step in. So let me draw a little picture for you real quick. So here's the tool. This is where, we run like this. You run like this in this little pattern, and you put the foot down out here. Okay, what we want to do is we want to run back here a little bit higher, and drop in this angle. Okay, this is kind of the area where your feet are going to be kicking, and it's just a learn process. You just gotta, it'll feel weird at first. Okay, so let's go through. Straight legging right there. Okay, so I think you can see how you keep your leg pretty straight at impact. Yeah, we need to be right there is our impact. Okay, excellent. Now let's go to your second picture. Okay, Bethany, let's watch yourself run on this one. See how you're just letting your leg hit the ground quicker? You're doing perfect. Much better stance. There you go. You're still slightly, but that's not bad. That's way better. Way better than what you were doing. You'll start reaching out as time goes on. And again, a treadmill is harder to practice this on. Much easier to do. So that looks good. A lot better. Okay. So Let's do slow. You'll see how you kind of contract your legs. There's your impact. You're a little bit closer that time. We're going to do a couple of them. Now this one, your right foot, you see you leave it flat. You learn to relax. You're pulling your toe up. It's a mental thing when you've learned to use these contracted muscles. So it's going to take a while learning to relax your foot and just let it fall. But look, boom, you fell right there. And look what happened. It went right above in front of you. So, and even your gravity, your lean line. Look at your lean line when you're running. You're almost equal to the man behind you or the pitcher, which is what we're trying to show. So very good. This lean line right here is nice. You look like you're leaning forward on your run, even though you're on a treadmill. And boom, it was pretty close. At least you hit the line. Much better. So remember that your arm drive goes straight. Drop your shoulders, run low. Strike at midfoot, let it come down quicker. Shorter gait, better tempo, and you'll just truck right down the road without any pressure on your knees, any negative impacting. For your shoe content, look at something very flexible. You won't have to have a shoe with a real thick heel because you don't want that thick heel getting in the way. It gets in a way. See how your foot's flat? If you have a big thick heel there, I don't know, it wants you to strike it first and then you start pulling your toe up again. So the flatter your shoe is as far as levelness, you can have a lot of padding underneath it, but like hookah, but just don't have a differential being too high from heel to toe. Okay? Thanks a lot, and we'll send this off to you.